Apparently, Valve has been putting a lot of effort, and it's not just Valve. There's other people that are working on this stuff too. But Valve is putting a lot of effort into, getting graphics drivers working in Linux. And Valve engineers have helped the Mesa 3D graphics library 26.0 update for Linux that delivers significant, that's in quotes, significant ray tracing and Vulkan performance improvements for AMD GPUs using the RADV driver, benefiting both Steam Deck and the upcoming Steam Machine, and also probably any other machine running Linux. While the Steam Deck has struggled with mandatory ray tracing games like Star Wars Outlaws compared to the Switch 2, which that's weird because Switch 2 uses NVIDIA chipsets, and that means that they also have DLSS to kind of lean on a little bit there. These drivers improvements should help close the gap. So, Carrie, the big reason that I put this story in here is because I wanted you to explain it to me. Because I'm just like, there's a lot of stuff in here. I'm like, I know that it's like an alphabet salad of stuff. And what I'm curious is this going to have a big impact on how Steam Machine runs games that do require ray tracing, like Doom?
Right. The Dark Ages.
The Dark Ages, thank you. I couldn't think
also
of the name
Indiana
of it.
Jones. Yeah, so
right.
So this is the problem with what Steam Machine has, right? Because the hardware is fixed, and they can only work with what they have. And how many years does the Steam Machine have to survive as we're going on? And we're already seeing games that have ray tracing as mandatory already. So this already puts the Steam Machine in kind of like a weird position. So what we're seeing here is they had rudimentary support for ray tracing stuff, and they had it enabled for just Doom Eternal initially, that you could play and have ray tracing working. The big thing for ray tracing, insofar as RADV, is that it has always been considerably behind the ray tracing performance that you can get on the Windows driver from mainline Radeon. So this is closing the gap of what that is going to be. On top of that, there does seem to be additional improvements that are specifically targeting other things. Specifically, there's a set of work that's going on that's also getting bundled into Mesa 26 that is for Unreal Engine 5 Lumen type of hardware ray tracing support. So even that is supposed to be 30% better compared before and after. They're also showing this for FSR RDNA 4, so there is significant stuff that's going on here. It is 100% a thing that they're going to have to lean on very hard. And then, there's also the other part of this where we talk about the new term for it is FSR4 Lite, where you're using the first implementation emulating paths to do FSR4 using RDNA 3 and getting there. There's a two-pronged approach that is going on here, specifically just for the Vulkan ray tracing side of things. Ultimately, what we're getting to is that they are showing considerable performance improvements. They are going to have to really get down to the bone here and see what they can extract, because it's gonna be necessary.
Do you see it? Let's say that they do this. Do you see it being that big of a jump over, you built your own Steam Machine to try and match what the Steam Machine hardware is? Do you see when this comes out it being okay, well, apparently we got to take that information that Carrie did already and throw it out the window because we've got all new data to work with?
So it would be, I could just load it up and see if Mesa 26 is already available. I could just do it before and after, and it was pretty brutal in Doom the Dark Ages. But I'm also running over Oculink, so the Steam Machine, it uses Hawk Point 2 and Hawk Point 2's GPU. Even though the DGPU is really connected, you're still only having 4x PCIe lanes. Mm-hmm. So that's present on Steam Machine now. As far as I'm aware, Hawk Point 2 is only going to have 4x PCIe lanes. So my configuration that I showed in my video technically very accurate. However, I'm using a cable, not something that's pretty close. Signaling is going to be better. You know what I mean? It's going to be a better implementation on Steam Machine. So when I was doing mine, I had pretty horrific results, and I was just ugh, this looks terrible, and I did not know if it was my cable that was getting into it, so I didn't want to really go onto it. I think I just showed off a brief thing of Indiana Jones running at 30 FPS, but it was bad. It was real bad. So I can show a before and after. I should just load it up. I think I still have it loaded. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to give a number to that soonish.
And where would people find
to see
that video?
You can find that on the Fox PHAWX YouTube thing.
YouTube thing. Your Riz today is just. Thank
I
you.
feel like he fell down and hit his head or something. Falling out
You can find it in one of the descriptions somewhere.
somewhere.
Yes.
Or
That's
just
right.
into it. Yeah, just like...
Down below the like button, I'll leave a link. If he, well, no, I won't because he hasn't made the video yet. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Rich.
The timing here is interesting. Where that Mesa 26 did the reason this is now kind of coming to other news sites other than like Phoronix, right, is because Mesa
Right.
26 did get merged or is released. So like February 13th, February 12th, Thursday, right, was the day I think that Mesa 26 was released.
Okay, so then I could do it. Then I could show it.
Okay, but doesn't that feel like maybe that's when Valve would have announced the price and release date? Maybe that's when pre-orders would have been available?
For sure. Like Mesa 26 was this hallmark moment of all of them blitzing towards like a singular event.
Yes.
To like have this be the moment. So I do tend to agree with you that this feels like this should have been the genesis of something.
Yeah. Sorry, it was February 11th. So Wednesday was the Phoronix article. It may have been released even earlier than that, but the Phoronix article was as early as Wednesday. So yeah, I feel like this could have been the week for sure.
Most of the time, when Carrie's doing something, I'll put up the Charlie from Always Sunny with the thing in the back. But now I think you got that this time. You got the conspiracy theory
it's my
board,
turn.
Rich.
I got to get mine sometime.
Yeah.
Russ, what do you think, man?
You know, I got to say my ears were kind of glazing over as like Carrie was talking, because I'm like, when it comes down to it for me, it's like I just wish these, like I kept thinking, I wish they just didn't make mandatory ray tracing. You know what I mean? Like just, I've never felt to the point where it's like, oh, now this game is worth playing because it has ray tracing. And so it's not a feature that I've ever really looked forward to. I usually will turn it off in every game just because I prefer the performance. And so I like that they're doing things to make it better, you know, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't like the world we're living in where this is mandatory with a game like Star Wars Outlaws.
So one thing that I would just offer as a in Doom: The Dark Ages, one of the main tech leads for id Tech. He was there and he was explaining why they did it, and effectively they've reached the point where ray tracing needs to be enabled. Otherwise, the build time is now too long for them. Whenever they make a change on a level somewhere, to like build that and like see it and do stuff is going to be like days for them before they can even test it. So every change would be days. And with ray tracing always on, they don't have that problem.
I have a solution for that. We could just go, like, didn't we have a conversation recently where they said graphics peaked in 2018 and we could just go back to then and we were all fine with that. God of War came out and we were like, holy shit, this game looks freaking amazing.
I'm not going to lie. There are some games I've been seeing lately where it's like, oh, yeah, that does not look that good on my graphics card. Which, I mean, obviously, my graphics card is like 5 years old, as I've said several times. But I've been like, oh, maybe I will upgrade. Wrong time to upgrade, but nonetheless, maybe I will. Go ahead, Carrie.
The reality is that when we get past this raster and only ray tracing event, this event horizon, the build time without having to, like, those games that looked great in 2018 all had pre-baked lighting, and all of that had tremendous artist time spending in there. So to achieve that level was Herculean efforts of just super talented people around the clock doing this stuff. And if you just had, I want to make this change, and then it's like, okay, here's what the light looks like. And it's like, I don't like that change. And you know what I mean? It's like that level of speed for productivity is going to matter. And unfortunately, ray tracing is fantastically compute intensive. Mm-hmm. And as Russ pointed out, it hasn't been worth it, right? Like, I just turned it off. Oh, it runs much better. I don't notice much. And, not for nothing, we got a bunch of people saying yes on Steam Deck Verified, even though those things don't run at all.
So I think fair game when it comes to like the dev environment and them, being productive and efficient, like totally get all that. But then my next thing, and again, not a dev, and I'd love to get some input on this from a developer if they want to put in the comments, but like, can you backfill it then? Like if you get everything working the way you want, and then can you backfill the lighting, and then we can have a toggle, maybe later on, not even when it ships, but later on,
right.
Be like, okay, now we have a non-ray tracing mode too. That's what I'd love to see. Something like that where it's like for the rest of us.
Oh, like a patch.
Yeah,
like
right. Go ahead, Russ.
I was going to say, yeah, like they get the right lighting right, and then once that's all done, then the artists come in and do it. And I'm hoping that's a more efficient process than trying to do it as you're building the train.
Yeah, basically Russ is saying once it's done, once the ray tracing's all there and you know how it's going to do it, bake it. And then
Right.
you don't have to worry about it. Just do the baking after it's already done. But then the only problem comes into is if a game has destructible environments, then it all goes all out the window. And then
No,
you're
that
like,
makes
oh,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah, and to give I guess a little bit more support in a way to what you're saying, Kerry, like if just speculation here, but like if Microsoft's recent bout of productivity is in part due to this, right? Like just embracing more ray tracing only games. Yeah, I'm not going to go all the way and say they should do that more often, but it's something to consider, right? The fact that, and these are games like Indiana Jones and Doom: The Dark Ages that are not riddled with bugs, right? So it's one thing if we're talking about games that are just clearly like unoptimized in various ways, not just in terms of performance, but also in terms of like this is just not a good user experience. But Doom: The Dark Ages and Indiana Jones are clearly not that. These are well-made games, robust games that maybe potentially were developed a little faster or maybe a lot faster than they would have been if they had to deal with making and lighting. But I do like the idea of maybe do that afterwards.
Right, yeah. Hopefully there's some, or we just get to the eventual, like, oh, okay, the hardware could just brute force through this. Because, like, RDNA 5 is supposed to be, like, an order of magnitude better than RDNA 2 and 3. So it's like, okay, that 10x is going to really be helpful. Not including all of the ray reconstruction type of stuff and all the other Radiant stuff that they're going to be doing. So, it's going to be... This whole generation just feels like it was a pregnant pause.
How far off is RDNA 5?
Oh, so that's an awesome question.
Thanks.
Because I heard things and they sounded crazy, I don't know.
About Steam Deck 2.
So basically,
Steam Deck 2 is coming out this year with RDNA 5 confirmed.
2027 is when RDNA 5 will come, based on what AMD has already said.
Okay.
How do I know that? Because they said the next Xbox is 2027.
Right.
And that's RDNA 5, 100%.
Well, 2027 at the earliest.
At the earliest, yeah.
Right.
And that could change. That could 2028. But insofar as, like, Asus getting an APU that has RDNA 5, maybe late 2027, maybe not, maybe early 2028, maybe late 2028, maybe 2031. I don't know. But it's, like, all up in the air right now. And everything was just like, wait, what? What happened? What? None of it makes much sense to me because, like, AI and ML is such, like, this hotly contested thing. Apologies. I'm going to just do a side thing over here. Let me just rant really quick. AMD has been AMD has been a scrappy company. They never had a lot of money. 2015, they were having really bad times. They did their Hail Mary. They said, we're going to do Ryzen, chiplet. And everyone was like, well, I guess good luck. Turns out they did a fantastic job. Then Zen 2 came out, and then they were even better. And it's just been getting better and better for them. And now they're at a point where CPU server side is now competing heavily with Intel's. AMD has been doing fantastic on the CPU side. All the while, the Radeon group, the GPU side, has been running on scraps. And they came out with the RDNA 2 mostly because of the console side of business, PlayStation and Xbox. They needed to give them something. And because the next console generation was so far away, RDNA 3 kind of sucked. It was basically just like stuff grafted onto RDNA 2. Didn't really work all that well. And it has some advantages, and they just keep on like backporting things onto RDNA 3. Now we have RDNA 3.5. There's also this thing of like RDNA 3.375, and you're like, well, what is that? And it's like, oh, there's backported FSR4 stuff, so RDNA 3.75 can do FSR4. And it's like, hang on, what? And there's this whole weird thing that's going on. In any event, AMD has a ton of money right now. I don't know if you've seen their stock price, but it's bonanzas. So AMD has money now, and also they want to go to AMD ML AI. They need that for the Radeon Group. So Radeon Group should have a ton of money to do a bunch of bonanza ML AI stuff, which I firmly believe Sony and Microsoft want in their console for various reasons. So they have a money incentive to do this, which makes all of the news that I'm hearing sound silly. So I'm really trying to come to grips with this. As far as we know, the next Xbox console will be the first iteration that we see of RDNA 5 in 2027. As far as general PCs that we'll be able to get, maybe 2028 at best. Even for Xbox, maybe 2028. Who knows? Everything's kind of up in the air, and I'm hearing a lot of crazy things. And that's basically it.
Rich, you're shaking your head.
My ears did not glaze over, but it was I had to like focus in. Yeah, no,
I'm gonna rewind this later.
I think all of that what's crazy to me is just like I don't know what you're hearing, but like it sounds insane, right? But it makes sense that like 2027 is what they were slated for, right? And
yes.
It also makes sense that who knows now. That's the part that I'm like, yeah, everything is up in the air right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's truly bizarre, and I couldn't tell you one way or the other. We are well into speculation territory. Don't really stake much into like anything outside of Xbox because that's the only thing that AMD has said.
All right. Well, let us know what you guys think about this update to the 3D graphics library for Mesa and ray tracing performance on Linux.